Okay, so this is to try to help out with just some basic knowledge. I think for you, we should just focus on the basics of just price action and volume. It's pretty much what I've whittled down all of these extra tidbits and tricks and alerts and things like that. I just keep it simple: price action and volume. And let's just keep it simple for you too. I don't know if you had a chance to watch that video I sent you all back on what candles are. So I'll give a brief description of what a candle is. So this is on the 5-minute chart for Apple. This is today. So this big thick green line right here, this is your main body of the candle. Oh dear God, of course. On the bottom here, they have these lines here. They call these wicks. So on the bottom, you have this bottom wick, and on the top, you have the top wick. A lot of this kind of dictates direction. So this is at the open, and as you see in this line here at the top above the pricing there, you see the volume here of 210K. That's 210,000 stocks were traded in that 5-minute candle. That's your volume, was 210,000. You see the next one, it correlates with these down here. You see the next one dropped off significantly, 113. Kind of happens at the open. The open, you get a really big candle, people taking profits or trying to get into a stock or whatever. And then the next one is, it's a green candle, but you look at the direction. So you have these wicks. These wicks will tell you what direction it's going. If you have a big bottom wick, that means that it's moving upwards. It's kind of like an arrow. Same if you have a top wick. That means that it's starting to go downwards. But if as long as it's green, that means there's more buyers than sellers. And so you go into the open and you see, yeah, even though it dropped off in volume, it's all staying green. As we kind of get in here, at the 750 mark, you see the time frame down there at the bottom. You start seeing that volume started kicking back in, which happens a lot going into the first 30 minutes. For here, it's 8 o'clock. For you, it's 7 o'clock. There's always a lot of news or something that can change and can flip things. And that's why you see the next candle, it's a red candle. But we'll move up here and see what was going on. So you had bottom wicks in here. So it still had strong direction and big wicks. These have a lot of movement. You see this candle here, this is what they call a fully engulfing candle. There's no wicks on it. That means strong direction. So since it's green, it's strong buying direction. If it's red, it's strong selling direction. And since it's staying strong, there's no indication that there's sellers have stepped in at all. This would be a good trade entry. You would see this where it's kind of leveling out here, kind of paused a little bit, but then you start seeing volume increase and price action. The direction is increasing. This is where you'd want to enter. You'd want to enter somewhere in here. And where we'd be looking for an exit is when you start seeing sellers stepping in, when you start seeing the red candles and downward wicks. As you see at that 8 o'clock mark, you get your first overall red candle in a half hour, but it's still a bottom wick. So still showing that the sellers are present. I mean, the buyers are in control. Even though it ended up a red wick, the buyers are still in control. The sellers couldn't take it over. And you see that with the next candle, increasing volume, and it's green again, and it's resuming. So we start seeing, to get up here, now you start seeing a little bit of a chop. You start seeing a red candle, but it has both, a red and, a top and bottom wicks that are, a little bit more substantial. It's not a fully engulfing candle. You see the green candle here, it's got a little bit increased volume, but then the next one is a red candle, lower volume as you see down here, but it's a bigger top wick, significantly more top wicking. This is when you want to start thinking about your exit. When you start seeing this here, when you stop seeing green, but when you start seeing like a red, green, that's showing that supply level, that supply and demand, that auction, that the buyers and the sellers are starting to meet that level where they want to trade. And then you start seeing it come down, that's where you'd want to sell. But even though it's lower volume, you're seeing that price action. It's coming down, it's coming off. You'd want to sell in here. You don't want to hold it. Then you would see, as it goes through here, it keeps selling off. So that our sell trigger to sell off in here would have been correct. And that's price action, just going by price action and volume. Now, if we had bigger volume coming down, it would be a lot more egregious. You'd see a bigger sell-off. And if you had top wicks, we would stay in it because it wasn't completely selling off. The buyers are still in control.